Hey, what's going on, guys? Ray Shapley, Where to Live in Austin, and quick video today for anyone looking to move to Austin. I want to give you just like a general overview of the city, help you kind of get your head around different areas and what they represent. I'm going to try to speak at a high level, kind of touch on different lifestyles here, and then in future videos, I'll get real specific on different areas and different lifestyles, okay? So let's jump in. All right, guys. So the first thing to understand is kind of what I did here, because you'll see all these shapes that I did in different colors. This is kind of the way I visualize the city, so I just want to kind of walk you through this. So what we've done here is the red in the center is kind of the classic or iconic Austin that people think of when they think of Austin. It's also very expensive. You don't get a lot of house for your money, lots of traffic, all of these things, but this is the iconic Austin. Outside of that, we start moving around. So we have these green shapes here, which are the up and coming next kind of hot areas. Then these two areas here, Barton Creek and Westlake, these are some of the more pricey areas in Austin, but you do get into some real benefits with schools there. Then here we have just kind of general North Austin. I'll talk about that. And then these yellow shapes are what I consider to be like the true suburbs of Austin. And so let's walk through those, but I just wanted to give you kind of a method to my madness, what I'm doing here. So understand this, I guess, that Austin is constantly growing. Things are constantly changing. When I was a kid, everything south of the water here, the river, was considered like deep South Austin, right? And everything north up into this green area was far North Austin, this pretty much like a suburb. And now look at how much it's expanded. So let's break in here. Let's get going. So, all right, I did say, so this is what you would call classic Austin here in the red. Now I've gotten rid of downtown. That's this black box. Just kind of ignore that. Downtown is a very specific lifestyle. It's not the population hub of Austin. A lot of people think it is. And it's really, high-rise condos and apartments, and that's it down there. It's really not. I'd say 95% of the people watching this are probably not going to end up living in downtown. Now, you might live, in South Congress or South Lamar or something like that, but probably not there. Then above that, in this red box, we've got the university area. So this really, unless you're a student, probably wouldn't live there. So I would really focus on everything outside of these two boxes for most of us. So in this area of classic Austin or iconic Austin, this is the Zilker, the Barton Hills, the Sola or South Lamar area, Travis Heights, Bolden, Tarrytown, which is a very nice classic area of Austin, Rosedale, Hyde Park, Allendale, Crestview. And over the years, I've expanded this. So years ago, I wouldn't have put Northwest Hills in. Now I would. I wouldn't have put Mueller in. I wouldn't have put French Place, most likely. I definitely wouldn't have put Holly. But nowadays, this has all changed. Austin's been growing so fast. These are all now what I consider iconic Austin. Again, it's an opinion thing, but this is my opinion on this. So if you want that kind of like Austin, that's it. I mean, that is the true classic Austin. However, there are lots of downsides, and one of the main ones is cost. So what a lot of people are opting to do who want this kind of lifestyle but can't afford it, which is like 80% or more, they're going to one of these three up and coming areas. So the first one you have is, let's talk about South. So this is kind of everything south of 290, but I'd say north of like Ditmar or Davis, right through this piece here. This is going to include areas you may have heard of like Sunset Valley or Westgate, certain parts of South Congress. This is going to be the next hot spot in the South. And this definitely has more of an urban vibe, urban feel. And one thing, if you don't know this about Austin, is Austin proper, or central Austin, really doesn't have good schools. And these green areas are no exceptions. Not good schools here either. We have to push further out to get into the good schools. I'll get there, I promise you. But right now, just understand, schools are not great here. But if you want that kind of urban-y lifestyle without the full sticker price, this is the way to go. Same with the east side. So the east side's interesting. We used to live on the east side for years. I love the east side. One thing to understand about the east side, though, is everything from I-35 here east all the way back to 183, whether it's red or green. All of this is one of the fastest gentrifying areas in the country, not in Austin, not in Texas, in the United States. So things are turning very, very quickly over here, and you've got a lot of people moving in, a lot of people moving out. And it like down here, this is kind of the Holly Street or Holly district. It's almost unrecognizable to me how much it's changed in the last few years. But here's what you got to understand about this area is, from an investment standpoint, this is probably where you're going to get some of your best appreciation in Austin. I think that this is a really good area to be looking at if you want that kind of, if you want to be close to downtown and you want to have a good investment, this is probably the area you want to be looking at. Now, moving above that, we've got North Shoal Creek, up and coming north, basically. So this is going to be everything up to the Domain, and that's something we really need to talk about. So think of like Anderson Lane, West Anderson Lane, up to at least to St. David's. But here's the deal with this area. Years ago, I don't know if I would have put this area as an up and coming part of Austin, but this is a game changer. This is the Domain. So the Domain is going to be Austin's second downtown. It's already begun, and there it has, if you don't know the Domain, it's a massive, massive shopping area. It's got bars, it's got restaurants, its own kind of 6th Street going, and it's got tons and tons of, office space coming up around there. See, the thing to understand about this part of Austin, this is the tech corridor. So this is more, suit and tie part of Austin, at least white collar, but so it's a little more uptight in general and a little more maybe preppy, if that's the right word. I don't know, than South Austin. South Austin's always been more kind of gritty. Central South Austin, more just like laid back, come as you are. North Austin's always been kind of, I don't know, maybe we'd say here like more Dallas-y. And I'm splitting hairs. I mean, there's cool parts of Austin everywhere. North Austin is changing. And so this area up here is changing primarily because of the Domain. Now, there is the next, you've got like Facebook, you've got Apple campus being built up here. This is the tech hub of Austin around here. And so what you're seeing is this kind of new formation of almost a second city with its own culture. Now, granted, from an outsider's perspective, maybe it's not that different of a culture. But for me, someone who grew up in Austin, or at least lived in Austin a long time, I do see a cultural difference when I go north. But just know that this is a really hot up and coming area. And I think that North Austin right here, this purple box, is a really good choice for people who know they want to be north and want to be relatively close to shopping and so on. Because nowadays, when you live north, it doesn't matter how far you are from downtown. You'll almost never go there. You want to go to Whole Foods, you want to go to 6th Street, all of that's in the Domain now. So really, it's how close are you to this? And the Domain is kind of has this ripple effect going on all around that's making these areas just kind of more desirable. What's interesting here, when you get into like what I call just true North Austin, this purple shape, this is the first time we're going to get into actually good choices in schools. Not the best, but the schools start to get good here. So this is I'm going to show you one in South Austin soon, but this is a good segue. If you want to be reasonably close to, shopping and lots of different options, i.e. the Domain, close to the tech corridor because maybe you work there, but you still want to have decent schools, this is probably where you want to go, right in this area. This is going to include, like Anderson Mill, Balcones Village, and a lot of this feeds into Westwood High School, which is a very good high school. So understand that this is kind of the North Austin. Now, backing up, let's talk about these two guys because these are really hard to explain for people. This is basically Westlake and Rollingwood. I have trouble with this because I could easily put this into this red shape and say this is iconic Austin. Back in the day, this was like the original suburb of Austin. But now there's big money out here. Some of the best schools in Austin proper are here. Eanes ISD. If your family looking for schools, you've probably heard the term Eanes ISD. This is where it's at. Now, with that being said, just understand, while it's look at how close it is to downtown. I mean, it's great location, but you pay for it. It's expensive here. It is expensive, and what you get for your money is somewhat disappointing compared to the rest of Austin, especially other outlying areas. Back behind that, you have Barton Creek. So this is really going to have like Lost Creek, Barton Creek, Rob Roy. This is your Beverly Hills, if you will, of Austin. It's not really a fair comparison, but it's the only thing I got. So this is like your highest dollar pound for pound neighborhoods in Austin. All right, moving away from that, so we've covered that. Let's get into the yellow areas. So the yellow areas are really what affect a lot of people. A lot of people move here and end up moving to one of these yellow areas. Let me describe the kind of 3 different lifestyles that are there. So, okay. For starters, I've really lumped in 3 different cities. These are suburbs, but they're also cities, into this. So we're outside of Austin proper now in these areas. But here's the advantages. Your bang for your buck. What you get for your money, you get a lot in these areas. Very good schools. So Cedar Park here, which is my favorite of the 3, personal opinion. It feeds into Leander ISD. Very good school district. Round Rock is Round Rock ISD. Very good school district. Pflugerville is honestly probably my least favorite of the 3. I have nothing against it other than it's not as good as the other 2. But let me tell you, price point wise, it's your best deal. Round Rock is your second best. It's your best deal. Round Rock's your second best, and Cedar Park's your third best, meaning Cedar Park costs a little bit more than Round Rock and Pflugerville on average. But I will say this, if you are in Austin's average median income, you can live all 3 of these places, no problem. So you get, if you look here, reasonable proximity to the domain and good school districts, and you can get a lot of house for your money. So these are, that's this. Moving down. Now, this is kind of the more fun part of the suburbs, I think, and this is what I call kind of lake life areas. So very different feel out here. In fact, let me see if I can find a topography. There it is. I pulled it up earlier. All right. So look at the topography difference. When you're looking at regular Austin, it's pretty flat. East Austin, pretty flat. North Austin in general, pretty flat. But as soon as you start moving into this area, look at you're in the hill country. And this looks completely different than the rest of Austin. The hill country, if someone's never been here before and you drive them through the hill country, they think they're in Southern California. And that's really hard to find in Texas. It's like so hard to find in Texas. So you've got a very unique lifestyle out here. You've got this kind of, lake life is what I call it. This kind of resort style feel to life out here. Now, let's break down the 2 kind of lake life areas. The first one is this is generalized. I've kind of expanded the map here, but this is really what I call the 4 Points area. This is going to have neighborhoods like River Place, Jester, Steiner Ranch, and some of the best schools in Austin proper that these will feed into, like Vandergrift. This is a great area for that. Now, you're a little bit further from downtown. I'll tell you, like a really big monster neighborhood that's really popular here is Steiner Ranch. Steiner Ranch is, I've known a lot of people from California who end up buying in Steiner. They connect with it. It reminds them of California out there. And it butts up against the water. But I will say this, if you're commuting into downtown, it's pretty rough traffic-wise because there's only 1 or 2 ways to get downtown. And if there's traffic, you're stuck. So this is pretty rough there. River Place is a beautiful neighborhood, one of my favorites in this area. So it is a little bit pricier than this area up here, but I think that it's so much prettier. If you can swing it, I would really be looking in this area. Lakeway is really cool too. So Lakeway is not Austin proper. This is technically Austin out in here. Lakeway used to be a sleepy little town called Lakeway, and it's really pretty, and if you like kind of classic older homes, custom built homes, then there's a lot of options out here. Really interesting architecture. You have big neighborhoods where people have just custom built everything back in the day. So you get some really unique homes, less cookie cutter. This is an interesting area. Now the vibe is very different than Austin. It's definitely not an Austin feel, and that kind of keep Austin weird and all that. It's not going on out there. People tend to, I don't know, they kind of just drive nicer cars, maybe a little, I don't know if showy is the right word. I don't want to put the area down because I love the area, but it just has a different vibe. But I will tell you, some of the best schools around are out here. The school district is phenomenal. So a lot of people come here for the school district. It attracts a lot of families who, want the kind of lake resort feel, good schools. They're not commuting into Austin. You do have great shopping out here. There's a mini kind of domain situation going on called the Hill Country Galleria that's in Bee Cave, which is kind of the southern part of this area. This is a small version of the domain, and it's really nice. It's got restaurants. It's got shopping, things to do. Is it the domain? No. But it's for this, it serves this area very well, and it's just less things you have to come into Austin for, making the area more kind of self-contained and fun. All right, now we got 2 areas left. So we've been through this whole thing. I'm gonna walk you through. I don't know if I want to say I saved the best for last, because it just depends on who you ask. But let's talk about these 2 areas because these are interesting. So this part of Southwest Austin is really, really interesting if you want that kind of middle ground between living in Austin, reasonable commutes to downtown, but still want decent schools and that kind of suburban feel. This is your spot. So in the Southwest, I call this a suburb, but in this area, you're going to get neighborhoods like Circle C, Convict Hill, Meridian, Village at Western Oaks. A lot of these neighborhoods that are really popular, kind of suburban areas, decent schools, not the best, decent schools though, and the commute into downtown is palatable. You can do it. It's, probably 30, 35 minutes. Now, this is kind of the Wyatt Oak Hill area. I'm not really going to cover this. It's an interesting vibe out here. It's kind of that old school Austin feel. I'm going to lump it in with kind of somewhere between up and coming South Austin and Southwest Austin suburb, but we'll cover that on a different video. Lastly, I want to talk about this area. So I don't really have a name for this area, but a lot of people will call it Belterra. But this is something to keep an eye on. So this is the zip code here is 78737, and what you've got 3 big neighborhoods out here. You've got Belterra, you've got Ledgestone, and you've got High Point. Belterra alone is like 2,000 homes. It's a massive, massive neighborhood. But here's the deal. So this little town here, Dripping Springs, one of the best school districts in Texas, not in Austin, in Texas. And this area, even though it's technically Austin, so it's an Austin zip code or Austin address, this feeds into Dripping Springs ISD. So if you are looking at schools and you want to kind of live out in the hill country, views, straight up suburbs, like all the way burbs, but the best schools, this is a really good option. And it's way more affordable than, for instance, these areas here, which have great schools as well. This you kind of get the best bang for your buck in terms of schools and house you can afford, how nice the neighborhoods look and so on. And it's really closer than like Lakeway. But the only caveat I have is that, and this is a small one, but I got to find something. 290 here, this road, they need to work on it. When there's not bad traffic on it compared to like the north and south roads in Austin, but when there's a wreck on 290, it's bad. It's bad. So I won't say it's a dangerous road. Nothing's going to be as bad as like I-35 here, but it's just something to consider because a lot of people move out here and they're like, oh, like I didn't know there were so many wrecks on this road. And when they're like head on. So again, it's kind of a small thing, but do be aware of that. All right, guys. So Listen, I hope that helps. That's kind of my breakdown of the city. I'm sure I left out some areas, and I approximately drew these real quick. But if you're coming to the area, I want you to get a better understanding, at least a high-level view of kind of the different lifestyles and what's out there. Guys, I'll be making more videos on this where I really drill down. But for now, I hope that helps, and I will see you on the next one.